What is the scariest, strangest, most unexplainable thing that's happened to you while home alone? Okay, so now we're going to AskReddit. Let's see what this is. Not really home alone, but when I was little, I remember as my dad was taking us to bed, I ran up first to sneak behind my bedroom door. The plan was to jump out and scare my brother before bed, as my bedroom was just opposite the bathroom and he had to walk past. Oh my god, okay, I don't need the whole layout. However, behind the bedroom door was two strange men hiding. One had a beard and long hair, and the other I don't clearly remember. But I think he was very skinny. The guy with long hair whispered to me to go away, so I calmly went away and slept with my dad. Mom was working nights, and this wasn't uncommon for me, so he never questioned it. I was rightly spooked and didn't want to be on my own, but didn't tell my dad what I saw as I was petrified inside. Straight up thought I'd been told off by some creepy ghosts. We were robbed that night. Actually, I got real tears in my eyes. That is so funny. Okay, so he literally saw two strange men in his house, and they were just like, go away. Just left and didn't say anything. That's bad. When my mom came home, the downstairs was trash. She was terrified something happened to us. She ran upstairs in panic and found us all in bed safe and sound. Home insurance was able to salvage most of the losses. Okay, that's good. And we got a dog not too long after that as a deterrent for thieves, which growing up never had another issue again. Okay, so I guess not really unexplainable, but strange slash scary story. That is actually terrifying. If I, as a child, walked into what is he was in his bathroom or something and saw two fucking random ass men there, I'd pee. I would pee. That's really scary. Was 17 years old and left from Thursday to Sunday with our family dog, who was pretty small and starting to have trouble climbing stairs in his old age. I'd been working every morning while my parents were out of town. Came home from my shift on Friday and everything about the kitchen table was a mess. Napkins were taken out of the holder. All of the mail was thrown on the floor, salt and pepper shaker on the other side of the kitchen, but together, and one of the chairs pulled far away from the table. Our dog's never done anything like this, and I'd especially be surprised if he was even capable of climbing on top of the table. I reset it all. Saturday, I come back to find the exact same configuration. Don't have the pictures anymore. Okay, yeah, no pictures. Ooh, this is very real. But every detail was just as I found it the day before. Pretty much the entire night, I'm convinced there's gonna be a ghost coming to get me, and I sleep horribly and barely rest for work on Sunday. I leave for work and make sure that the place was orderly when I left because I knew my parents would be back before I was out of work. When I go on my lunch break, I call my mom and ask about all the details from the past 2 days, and she goes, yeah, why did you leave such a mess? She didn't get pictures, so I can't verify how similar the mess was, but regardless, I can't believe my old dog would have done that. And I don't even know if he was strong enough to move the chairs or climb on the table. Only time anything like this ever happened was while I left alone. Okay, so she's living in poltergeist. She? Yeah, that looks, yeah. She, they is easier. They must be living in poltergeist, like quite literally poltergeist. Mine is just kind of weird, I think. It's very long too. Okay. When I was a child, I had a life-size, aka 3-foot tall Power Rangers doll. I usually kept them in my room stationed around my canopy bed to guard me at night. One day I was planning to take them all to preschool for show and tell. As I was preparing them to come downstairs with me, the red Power Ranger came to life and pushed me down the stairs. Wait. This can't be real. I only vaguely remember this incident, but when I brought it up recently at a family gathering, my mom said that it wasn't the first time I had mentioned the red Power Ranger being lifelike, and that I had frequently been heard talking to people in that particular apartment. The incident of me being pushed down the stairs apparently frightened my parents so much that they took me away and we stayed with my grandmother until my parents could find a new apartment to live in. Needless to say, the Power Rangers did not move with us. Wait, how big were they? 3 foot tall. Oh, wait. Okay, let's see. Life size Power Ranger doll? What do these look like? Weird. Honestly, I don't know why. That was, I mean, for sure, like the stupidest story, but it kind of creeped me out for some reason. I don't know why that one kind of got me. Okay, I grew up in a very rural fuck this word right here. Rural, fuck you. I grew up in a very rural area. I don't care. Our house was on the end of a dead-end road in the middle of Midwest farm country. In high school, I was in cross country and track and found it easy to run in the late evenings on nights where there wasn't practice. One night, which was fairly well lit by the moon, I was running the last quarter mile to my house and I saw someone else running towards me on the road from the direction of my house. I live on a dead-end road, there's nothing but farm fields behind it, and it definitely wasn't my mom running. It surprised me so much I stopped for a second to consider what I was seeing. I remember exactly what the runner was wearing, and I watched her run another 5 or 6 strides towards me before she disappeared or blended into the night like a predator or some such. Now, it could have been exhaustion or dehydration, I guess, but I've run a lot farther and a lot longer than I did that night without seeing anyone materialize and evaporate. Yeah, that's kind of wild. I never did again either on that road or anywhere else. It was the scariest thing that ever happened to me. I anime ran home crying panic tears, and I'm not ashamed to tell you about it. I couldn't bring myself to run at night again for a month. Anime run, like the Naruto run, like that. Honestly, you gotta do what you gotta do. All right, let's see this one. Back in high school, I'd usually be up all hours of the night playing games. I had a large dog at the time that would sleep in my room at night. It was 2 a.m. and I finally headed to bed, but my dog wasn't with me, so I ventured out to find him. I made my way across the house to the kitchen/dining room combo. I'm standing in the only door frame that leads to that side of the house. We had an island in the kitchen with a stool that the junk mail was usually kept on, so I walked up calling for my dog and see him walk from behind the island to behind the dining room table set, knocking all the junk mail down as he did so. I huffed and flipped on the light. No dog. I freak out, scramble back across the house and end up finding him in my parents' room. I regale the story the next day to my parents and younger sister, who often claim to see stuff in the house. My sister pipes up and goes, "Oh, that's the tall black thing. Yeah, sometimes it likes to crawl around in all fours." Big nope. Step 1, leave the house. Step 2, burn the house. Yeah, that's probably what I do. Pretty spooky for sure. Do I believe it though? No. Mr. Tully, why is this so long? Or Mrs. Tully, excuse me, ma'am. The first house I moved into out of high school while going to college was a very old, very small house in a town that dated back to the Civil War. I lived there with 3 other guys since rents were high, but we made it work. The house was built on a hill and had a small driveway in front with a U-shaped driveway in back. It had a full basement and was owned by someone with multiple rental properties in the area. They told us we had full access to the upstairs, but they had used the downstairs for storage and to never go down there because it was full of their stuff. Already we're off to a horrible start. Basements freak me out. I don't know why. We never questioned it because the rent for this particular location for our area was low. We were still technically on campus, but our house was surrounded by other college students, so we could have parties whenever we wanted to. Everything was great until we started having unwanted visitors. At first, things were pretty easy to ignore or completely write off, like a roommate home by themselves who would walk into a room and the lights would be on when they were home alone and hadn't flipped any switches, okay, or someone else would hear a faucet turn on and off in a room with no one in it. We tried to do what research we could at the time and found that water pressure can cause faucets to do some crazy things on their own, and that power surges can do similar things with flickering lights. Unfortunately, things kept getting stranger. At one point, one roommate who was home alone got out of the shower, looked into the mirror to start shaving, and noticed that someone else stepped out of the shower behind him and left the room. He had searched the house but couldn't find anyone else home at the time. That's scary. Later on, a different roommate had several items go missing out of his room, including his keys and pocket knife. He later found them in our microwave. Again, no one else was home at the time. Holy shit. Me personally, I got home on a day when nobody else was at the house for the next couple of hours in between classes. There was a folding chair on the front porch next to the door, and I had an armload of books. I set the books down in the chair, unlocked and pushed open the front door, turned and picked up my books, and when I went to walk into the house, the door slammed in my face. I thought the wind had caught the door and went to open it, but discovered that the door had locked itself again, both handle and deadbolt. Ooh. Last of all, 3 of us were sitting together on a couch watching TV when we heard a loud, heavy thud, as though something had been dragged off the bed in the back room. All 3 of us later confirmed we could distinctly hear both footsteps walking through the house, as well as the sound of something heavy being dragged behind. A week later, we started to smell gas in the house. We called the authorities in the middle of the night and they searched the house with us, waiting on the front lawn. Finally, they told us that they couldn't find a gas leak and asked us to open the basement. We had never been in there at our landowner's request, but since the fire department was asking, we opened the garage door. Right in front of us was a Honda Shadow motorcycle with a large pool of gasoline underneath it, where the gas tank had apparently leaked underneath it and the rest of the house. That's a weird sentence. The firefighters saw this and decided to leave, while we were left to look around the rest of the basement. Most of what we found was shelves and shelves of canned vegetables, but in the very middle of the floor, under everyone's bedrooms, was a mortuary table and a second device. What's a mortuary table? Let me look that up. Oh, yikes. Like a morgue table? Ooh. I'm still not sure what the second device was. It was cylindrical, with a small viewport in the front door. It seemed to have some place on the back for hoses or pipes to connect to it. Although nothing was attached when we found it, it was about the right size for a couple of 2-liter of soda to fit inside. Soon after, we found out that our landowner worked night shifts at a local hospital. Whatever it may have been, we decided that enough was enough and we all decided to move out as soon as our leases were up. I was the last one there, and I promised that the last 7 days I spent there alone were the longest days I've spent anywhere since. Yeah, honestly, I would move into anywhere. Someone is telling me, you can't go into this room, you can stay in this house. Go anywhere, just don't ever go to the basement. That's an immediate red flag. I'm out. I'm going somewhere else. I'll figure it out. I'm not dealing with that. All right, let's see. Homelander 44. I got up in the middle of the night to pee and happened to glance out the window to my backyard to see a glowing yellow figure that looked like it was collecting soil samples from my backyard. I absolutely shat myself and bumped into the sink. The figure stopped what it was doing and looked back at me. I bolted back to my room and woke my wife, but when we went back, it was gone. Funny thing is, I've told this story to other people, and the wife of a friend of mine burst into tears and said she's seen the same thing when she was a child, but nobody believed her. A yellow figure? Okay. Could be alien. Could be Big Bird. What else is yellow? I don't know. Either an alien or Big Bird. That's what I got so far. People asking for details. It looked about 7 feet tall. As when it stood up, it was well taller than my fence. And I live in very populated suburban Sydney. It was also between 2 to 3 a.m. Oh, so it was a kangaroo. Okay. I don't know. That's a weird one. My brother, 12, and I, 4, were alone at home while my mom was away somewhere. Probably away for work or something. It was like 1 a.m. and it was raining like crazy. I was about to head to bed and I saw my brother and turned off his room lights as well. I went to bed and fell asleep. My sleep was promptly interrupted by a loud banging on glass. It was coming from our living room's glass door. I was scared a little but decided to check. I opened my door for a tiny bit. My room was straight across from the living room's glass door, okay? And take a peek through our almost pitch black living room toward the glass door and spot someone on the other side of the glass standing in the pouring rain. Okay, hold on. I'm trying to visualize this, but this is very hard. How do we visualize this? I don't know. We got Redditor here. We've got glass door over here. Redditor hears something banging on the glass and he opens his door, whoop, and then runs over to here. Is that what we're saying? Because if that's not what we're saying, then I'm lost. I'm very lost. Okay, let's see. I couldn't really make out what that person looked like, and I didn't really try to find out, as I immediately pulled myself backwards to prevent him from seeing me? Question mark? Okay. The banging didn't seem to stop, and it was mind-numbingly loud. It really felt like the glass was about to crack at any moment. I got on my knees and hands and tried to crouch toward my brother's room, checking if he's okay. I got to my brother's room and opened it. He was terrified, sitting in his bed in the corner of the room. Just as I was about to grab the phone and call the police, the banging stopped. I decided not to call because I'm introverted as fuck, and honestly, I was just really tired and wanted to sleep. Bro, someone almost broke in your house. You can't be too introverted to call the police. If you really had someone trying to bust down your door as you are in your house by yourself with your younger brother and no like adults, just call the police. What do you mean you're too introverted? That's weird. All right, this will be the last one. This is the last one. Not home alone, but upstairs alone. I saw a doppelganger of my mom a few years back, and I think she heard mine. I was sitting in my bed and looked up when I heard her coming up the stairs. She walked by my door, looking straight at me with no expression, and walked into her room and closed the door. I'd say hi as she walked, but figured whatever. She didn't hear me, or maybe she was in her room getting something. Then about 5 seconds later, she yells up the stairs from downstairs and says, "Did you call me?" And I'm not ashamed to say, I freaked the fuck out. She came upstairs, looked down the hall, and said, "Did you close my door?" I didn't. And neither did she. She never closed that door because one of our cats primarily lived in her bedroom, and so she always kept the door open so that the cat could come out and go as she pleased. And it wasn't just closed as if the wind had shut it. It was fully closed and the windows were shut. Mom says she had very clearly heard me yell, "Hey mom, come here," from upstairs. I had done no such thing. I'm never entirely sure what I believe and what I don't, but I was totally sober, not tired, and it wasn't some movement out of the corner of the eye type of thing. Damn, that's interesting. Doppelgangers. Two things in this thread freaks me out: the number of doppelganger stories and the number of drop things that disappear forever. That's actually crazy. Like, this is maybe the third doppelganger story I've read. I don't know how many I'm gonna keep in there, but that's actually kind of freaking me out, just because how often does this happen? It's getting bright in here. I wanted it to be dark. I kind of wanted to wait till night to do this, but I feel like if I had done that, I'd just be setting myself up for failure. You gotta treat ourselves right today. But yeah, y'all, I'm about to end this video here. If you guys like this video, go ahead and drop me a like, leave a comment, subscribe, and I will see you next time.